Okay, so I am very excited. We actually have a couple today, Pia and Cullen. I'm going to share a little about Pia and Cullen. So Pia Orleane, PhD, is a psychologist, astrologer, winner of both the Nautilus Gold Award and the Coalition for Visionary Resource Awards, and one of the world's leading experts on the divine feminine. She is the co-founder with her husband, Cullen, of the Wisdom from the Stars series of Pleiadian Wisdom. Her works have been translated to Italian, Chinese, Russian, German, and French, and she has co-authored 3 books with Cullen called Evolutionary Questions About Our Evolution Path. The books are called Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology, Charting the Spirals of Consciousness, Remembering Who We Are, and Laarkmaa's Guidance of Healing the Human Condition. They are very talented, and Cullen is an empathic, intuitive, visionary, and interstellar communicator. He has participated with non-ordinary states of reality with interstellar beings and the Pan's kingdom since early childhood. Very excited about that one. Cullen began using energy to support the healing of others when he was 4 years old, Preceding, The Magical, and Finding the Gardens in Scotland by Devic. He co-authored a magical Findhorn-like Garden with the cooperation of the Devic kingdom in his own backyard at the age of 7. He has focused his life on assisting the evolution movement of all towards unity. He joins Pia today in the joy of bringing forth the wisdom to the world. I am so honored to introduce you 2 beautiful souls. Welcome.
Thank you. We're delighted to be here. I'm Pia Orleane.
And I'm Cullen Smith.
And we love you so much, and you know, I feel so privileged and honored to be here with you and be able to look in your faces, because when I know I asked Flo is how Flo brought you to this conference, and it's not really a conference. This is way more than a conference. This is an activation in every sense of the word. We're being so activated. And I love that you were able and so willing to come on to Awakening Code Radio on Tuesday. We just got the recording of the show up. And one of the things that my podcast partner, Eric, and I really felt drawn to you, because you bring this information through in such a tangible way, and it's very grounded. Pia, with your clinical psychology background, and Cullen with your anthropology and archaeology background, you know, I know there's still a lot of people that are struggling with some of these concepts of communicating with groups of beings that you're actually merging with, and that are here to assist with the evolution of our species. They're here. That's what they're doing, is teaching us a new way of being. So when you bring through this information, it hits my heart like a lightning beam of love. So I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation, and we're going to turn the screen over to both of you. Thank you. All my love.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Flo. One thing that I'd like to say is that we did not go through an awakening process. We were actually born awake. And what that means is that we just did not participate in a forgetting. We just never forgot what we came in with.
I like to joke about this and say that we didn't get the forget shot when we came here in this incarnation. We simply remembered everything we knew from before we landed here on Earth. And it was really an interesting thing, because as really small children, we were connected to so many different kingdoms, so many different realms, that it was our reality. And we all know the story of when parents or grandparents talk to their children or grandchildren and say, yes, we know you have invisible friends, but you'll grow out of it. Don't worry, they'll go away at some point, and you'll be more normal. And
luckily, our parents were not like that. Our parents supported the reality that we were experiencing.
So we never let go of the idea that our so-called invisible friends were actually real.
So for me as a child, I was talking to fairies, I was talking to little people, I was talking to the Devic kingdom, the plants, the trees. I was talking to interstellar beings that came to visit, the angelic kingdom. That was my world.
And I had a really similar experience. Pia and I grew up on opposite sides of the country. But when we met and we started exchanging life histories, we realized that we experienced almost exactly the same things at the same time in our age development. We had these experiences that were formative for us, but they were actually identical.
So you heard Flo talk about Cullen's garden. Findhorn Garden has been known for a long time as the place that grew huge vegetables like this that were succulent and delicious, unprecedented. Well, Cullen preceded that by being guided to do a Findhorn type garden without it being named that when he was 7 years old. And he actually went to his parents and said, Mom, Dad, I need to do a garden and I need to do it today. The funny part of that story, you want to tell them about your siblings?
Well, my family had a pretty large backyard. It was a sizable piece of property, and my siblings all wanted to have a swimming pool in the backyard. And my parents were planning at some point to put in a swimming pool. And lo and behold, one summer I woke up, as Pia said, and I just said, I'm sorry, but I need to grow a garden right now, today. And they said, well, you know, we don't want to disappoint your siblings. We want to make this backyard equal for everybody. And I said, I think the garden is going to be more important than a swimming pool. Just let me do it 1 year and then you can build the pool next year. And I think they reluctantly agreed. And so I built this incredible, huge garden. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no gardening experience whatsoever. They took me to a huge nursery and I picked out everything I wanted, not knowing what the heck I was doing, and brought it all home. And I started that very day. And the vegetables and the fruits I grew were 4 to 10 times larger than normal, immediately within days, not weeks. And people were saying, well, these won't be succulent. They're too overdone. They're too overgrown. And I said, just wait, open them up. And they tasted exactly as they should have if they had been normal sized. So that was my beginning of my experience with Pan and his kingdom of the nature world.
So as we grew up, we chose professional careers to be of service. And as you've already heard, I was a practicing psychologist. Cullen?
And I had always been interested in people and cultures. So I followed a career of anthropology and archaeology.
So we didn't really expect that we would be turning our lives around and surrendering those careers for a higher level of service. But the minute Cullen and I joined our lives together, the Pleiadian group that we work with called Larkma, their words are Larkma, but we shorten it for speech for Larkma.
And that's a funny story. When we asked them who they were, when they introduced themselves, we said, what do we call you? And they said, I'm sorry, but you can't pronounce in your English human language our name. And I said, but we need something to be able to call to you. And they said, we'll give you a musical rendition of an approximation of our name. And that's how we were given the name Laarkmaa.
And that's because the Pleiadians don't speak in linear language. They speak in musical and mathematical tones. And they use the libraries of Cullen's and my brains to be able to bring forth the messages. And the requirement they made for us in working with us was that we have to be touching, and they will use both of us because we are, funnily enough, exactly 180 degrees different in our outer perspective on everything. If I'm hot, he's cold. You know, everything is opposite for us except our cosmic view and our view of love. But we're getting a little ahead of things because I said that they made themselves known to us, but they made themselves known to us in unusual ways before we actually started communicating with them directly. The first thing that happened was one night we'd been out to dinner. And we came home and the headlights were still on the car reflecting on the house. And these 6 beings walked in front of the headlights on the way in front of our car into the door.
They were blue in color, and it was a pretty unusual sight. I mean, Pia and I had to look at each other and go, did you see that? I mean, really, did you see that?
We didn't really know exactly what it was. We knew we were dealing with another realm, but we didn't know exactly what it was or who. And for a couple of months, they did things like moving the furniture in the room, or one day they moved Cullen's shoes. He always left them by the door in a certain direction. Sometime later, after we were talking, we asked about that. What did they tell you?
And they said, we wanted to give you some symbolic understanding of how to look at things differently, how to change your perspective, how to change your belief systems. So we moved your shoes in a different direction so it would wake you up to understand that you don't have to walk in the same way. You don't have to put your shoes on in the same direction. Something just to open you up to be more available to potentialities or possibilities.
So the other thing that they did that along those same lines is they turned our water on. They kept turning our water on. We'd turn it off. The next morning we'd get up and it'd be on again. And later when we asked about this, they told us that they were doing it to get us to have more flow in our lives because we seemed a little stuck. So anyway, we had a very interesting introduction to them, but we didn't actually start communicating until Cullen's birthday one year.
We were celebrating.
Same year, but
we were celebrating my birthday. Pia had prepared a wonderful birthday celebration dinner for me. And in the middle of the dinner, something really unusual happened.
we were living high in the mountains, and our only access to communication with anybody was a shortwave radio.
We had no telephone connection, no cell phone service.
No internet,
Nothing.
nothing like that. And the shortwave radio spontaneously turned itself on.
Exactly at the time of my birth.
We looked at the clock, we listened to the radio, we thought that's odd. We got up and we turned it off and we're puzzled about it. And then it started happening for the next week, every single evening at exactly the same time. We moved the radio from room to room, plug to plug. We finally unplugged it completely.
It didn't matter where it was, whether it was plugged in or not, it turned on exactly at the same time.
So we, at that point, after the radio was unplugged, got up, walked in there in front of it and stood there and said, "Who are you? How can we help? What do you want?"
And we began our communication with our, we like to call them colleagues and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we started getting simultaneous thought forms. We would get information about the most interesting and advanced information, binary numbers, space travel, quantum physics, things that we already were aware of, but in a much deeper, more detailed fashion. This went on for another week or two, and we just kept getting exactly the same verbatim messages.
I would say, we'd ask a question and I would look at Cullen and say, "I just got blah, blah, blah." And he'd say, "Those are the identical words I just got."
So this went on maybe for a week or 10 days. And then we started speaking the information, both of us. And it was amazing because we had never experienced anything like this before. Although we had been involved with other realms, other beings, not exactly like this.
Not with merging our energy as if we were all one. So after some time, we recorded the information as we were speaking.
Wait, you're getting ahead of the story.
Okay.
We tried to take notes.
Yeah.
We tried to take notes so that we could remember what we were receiving. And even with shorthand, we couldn't keep up with the information. Then, Pia?
Yeah, then we decided to turn on the recorder and start recording it. These recordings eventually became a set of books, but before we did the books, they asked us,
would you bring our wisdom to the public? And Pia and I were completely still involved in our respective careers.
So you can imagine a practicing psychologist needing to tell her colleagues that she's now hearing voices
In her head.
So we were laughing about this, but luckily I had a very good reputation, and all of my colleagues really appreciated and supported the change that we were making. In fact, we took Larkma to my alma mater university in California and spoke to the faculty there. And one of the faculty members said, well, let's test them. I've been missing something for about 6 months. I can't find it. Let's see if they can find it. And Laarkmaa immediately said, you're looking for this, and it's that pocket of that sweater, go in the room and you'll find it. And he walked into another room and came back and said, they're real. So we had the confirmation. And after that, they wrote us up in a psychological journal as the next wave of consciousness, bringing higher evolutionary ideas to the planet. So we've been written up in psychological journals as being the real deal, which was a large thing for us.
So we're giving you a lot of information. We really want to connect you with Larkma, but I guess before we do that, there's a few more things we want to share.
So Larkma did eventually ask us if we'd write books for them, and we have done that. But before we did that, they said the first book you need to write is, Pia, you need to rewrite your book on the divine feminine. I had written a book called The Return of the Divine Feminine. It was a #1 bestseller in China, but it wasn't doing so well in America. So I rewrote that book, revised it into the book Sacred Retreat, and had it published by a publisher here in America. And it won the Nautilus Book Gold Award for Better Books for a Better World that year. The reason Laarkmaa wanted me to finish that book first before they started their own books was because that particular book focuses on the energy of 13. 13 sacred cycles of the moon, 13 sacred cycles of women. And as we came to understand later through Laarkmaa's work, the power of 13 is an integrating force. So Sacred Retreat introduces the divine feminine, which is in all of us, men and women alike, and how the importance of 13 has been left out of our culture and how it needs to be re-brought back in. So Sacred Retreat was the first book. And then Laarkmaa had this write a trilogy. It's called the Wisdom From the Stars Trilogy. And it consists of the books Conversations with Laarkmaa, and you'll love the title of the second one, Remembering Who We Are, which has become a catchword for all of us who are working with love and life these days, and the Pleiadian Manual for Evolution and Ascension, Accelerated Evolution and Ascension. And last year, the Coalition for Visionary Resources gave us the award for best series of spiritual nature for those 3 books. The last one.
So those books have become classics. People all over the world have ordered and read these books. They are an amazing primer for people to understand what we're going through at this time as humanity. They're helpful because we've never gone through what we're experiencing now. The leap of consciousness that we're experiencing has never happened to humanity before. There's never been an epoch or an age or a time that has had these marvelous, magnificent energies coming to us.
So the last one that they asked us to write is to help humanity move away from linear time, because we're making all these dimensional shifts, and move into the understanding of energy. So we wrote the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology book, which is about raising your consciousness to think in spirals instead of thinking linearly. And Cullen had the brilliant idea of, why don't we do a calendar for people to be able to follow these energetic patterns and see how to auspiciously choose dates for planning their lives.
So we designed and instituted a calendar years ago, and we played with it personally for a couple of years to be sure it made sense. And we did exercises with this new system, which is all based on the number 13. Everything in the calendar and everything in the book is about the importance of 13, which Pia can explain briefly.
Well, I think I just did. It's the power of integration. It's about, in this culture, in our world, we focus everything on 12. There are 12 hours in a day. There are 12 eggs in a dozen. Everything is focused on 12 months in a year. We have completely eradicated the divine feminine energy of 13 from our culture. And Larkma has told us and shown us that you can't go from 12 back to 1 in a cycle without having a pause to integrate what you've learned, or there is no learning. You're just stuck in a loop. So in order to continue evolving, you absolutely have to have a point of integration. And that means you have to have the number of 13 active in your life. We are at this moment the 13th point of all of who we are. And I think Larkma is going to talk about that a little bit today when they talk to you, because we know you don't want to just talk to us. We know you want to hear the Pleiadians. There's only one more thing to tell you about, and that is our most recent project of this year is the original Pleiadian Wisdom Oracle cards, which incorporates all of these aspects that we've been telling you about. So that if you just need some instant guidance right this moment, or the answer to a question right now without having to read the whole book, you can pull a card, draw a card, or do a layout and get some amazing guidance from the Pleiadians directly. Infused with stardust, they're great.
People often today don't have the time to read books, although we think books are really important for spreading knowledge and especially wisdom. But an oracle card is a much faster, much easier, as Pia just described, way of seeing a difference or a new perspective or asking for guidance. So we felt that designing a deck like this that encompasses all of Larkma's books, the calendar, the astrology book, and other things that we've done professionally, all of this wisdom and information is encoded and included in this deck. So we're getting wonderful, wonderful reviews about how people are being helped by using this particular deck.
In fact, Barbara Handclough, who wrote the Pleiadian Agenda and was one of the first to introduce Pleiadian wisdom to the Western world, says this is the deck she's been waiting for all of her life. So we have strong endorsements for the wisdom and the stardust infused in this magical deck. But that's probably enough about us, don't you think, Cullen?
Yeah, the only thing else I'd like to say is we're really pleased to be here with all of you in this conference, which Michelle said, maybe we shouldn't call it a conference, it's much more than that. But we're absolutely pleased and grateful to be here to share our Pleiadian wisdom from our colleagues and our friends, because they have a slightly different perspective on many of the ideas that people are talking about, people are going through in this ascension process. So we're really happy to bring this wisdom and this information to you at this time.
So if you give us just a moment, we're going to shift gears a little bit and allow the space for Larkma to come through, and then they will speak to you directly.
And I will say one more thing. Pia will be speaking today. We both speak, but Laarkmaa seems to enjoy Pia's voice more than mine. I think Pia's voice is more connective to their lyric musical energy. I'm fully capable, and we have traded back and forth all of these years. We've been doing this for a very long time. And at this point, you will be hearing Pia's voice today.
Hello, dear ones. We are Larkma, and we are here because we love you and we wish to support you on your evolutionary journey. The first thing that we would like to say to you is that we are here to share our perspective. We have no judgment of anyone. We just are here to help you broaden your own understanding of the greater reality. We always encourage humanity to be empowered, to be your authentic selves, be who you are. So therefore, we tell you, don't believe us, trust in your own hearts. If what we say resonates with the wisdom in your heart, then you can feel comfortable with it and use that in your life. If it does not resonate with you, that's all right, and there's no judgment. But don't believe us or any outside source for that matter. Instead, empower yourselves to trust to your own divine connection to source, your own connection to the stars, your own energy of who you are, and your ability to use your intuition to reach the truth in everything that you do. We'd like to start out by saying that we are multidimensional beings, meaning that we can be in any dimension at any moment. As some have said, they have said we are limited to the 5th, the 6th, or maybe even the 7th as our highest dimension. But that is a limited perspective, and it is not our reality. We have no limits on our ability to manifest. We manifest into any dimension, and some of them simultaneously. We have at times been in your 3rd dimension, speaking to you through Pia and Cullen, and had to jettison off to stop someone from putting their finger on a nuclear button, and then come back again, while we are simultaneously in a higher dimension like the 12th, being able to activate certain information pouring into humanity. So simultaneous participation in multiple dimensions is what we are capable of and what we are trying our best to help you achieve. For you also are moving towards multidimensionality. Now, that being said, we can manifest in any form that we choose. And there is a common misperception that we are walking among you now. We do not. We have not walked among you since we were there with the Mayans when we gave them the Mayan calendar. And there's a very simple reason why we do not walk among you now. That is because most humanity, when they see what we can accomplish, tend to think of us as gods or goddesses, rather than viewing us as just showing you what you are capable of. So this time, we decided not to manifest in human form on your planet, that instead it would be much more powerful if we help you to wake up and recognize who you are, remembering who you are yourselves. There is some confusion from our perspective between those of you who call yourself Pleiadians and those who call yourself starseeds. We would say that you are all starseeds and that you have Pleiadian connections. In other words, you remember that you are part of the Pleiades, but you are not Pleiadian in your entirety, or you would not be in human form. You do not morph in and out of waveform as we do from one moment to the next, being a blue wave of energy at one moment and then manifesting as a deer or a person or something else another moment. That is not in your toolbox of abilities yet. So we reinforce that we are not in human form and walking among you, although there are many who resonate deeply with the Pleiadians and incorporate their values and virtues into who we are and who you are becoming. We live by 3 very simple principles, and Cullen has written about this in some of his own writing, and we speak about this in our international live calls. We've written about it in our books, and we are here to sprinkle these 3 principles into your level of awareness. In the book, Remembering Who We Are, we gave you 10 steps to live by, 10 guidelines from the Pleiadian perspective. We also compared them with your 10 commandments and the 8-fold Buddhist path of learning. But now, in 2022, as you are about to embark on your journey in 2023, we have introduced the other 3 values that are most key to the guidelines you need to live by. These are your 11th, your 12th, and your 13th steps. Your 11th step is light, and light can be seen through ahimsa, viewing each other through do no harm, being able to see everything on the planet, on all life is viable, important, and equal. Ahimsa is a Sanskrit word that means do no harm. And we say that when you practice ahimsa, you are being the light that you are, and you are spreading light into the universe, which is your job, your only job, to be love and light. That is the 12th, that is the 11th step before we move into 12. The 12th step has to do with recognizing your connection. We use the Mayan word in Lakesh, I am another yourself, meaning stop looking at your differences and look at your points of similarities. One of the major problems we see right now with humanity is that you focus upon what is different rather than focusing upon what is similar. You need to focus upon how you are alike and remember the concept of in Lakesh, I am another yourself. And this takes us to another level, which is between the 12th and 13th step. And that is that as many people begin to awaken, they automatically remember that they can heal, they have things to share, and they want to lead others down this path. The time, however, dear ones, for being a healer, a teacher, or a leader is over. That time is finished, and for a very good reason. When you are a healer, there is a healee, which means there is more separation between you and the other. The higher perspective is to recognize that every human being can and has responsibility for healing themselves. And your job is to support that in others, not to do it for them. So we disagree very much with those who say that because you are sensitive and empathic, that it is your job to feel the pain of others and to heal it. Let those feelings pass through you. Of course, being sensitive and empathic, you will feel it, which is intended to stir your compassion and help you to remember again in Lakesh, I am another yourself, while supporting seeing the other person as who they are so that they can become empowered to heal themselves. That's the higher version and higher vibratory perspective of allowing the recognition that each of you can heal. The other thing is being a teacher. If you are a teacher, there is a student. There again is that point of separation. I know this and you don't know that. Separates you. Instead, we encourage you to share. Look what I've learned. I'd like to share it with you. And let me listen to what you have learned. More equitable balance is found in sharing than in trying to say, I am a teacher and I'm going to teach you what I know. That time is over. And the third point, healers, teachers, and leaders, each of you has special gifts. Each of you has something that you can lead the way. But that does not mean that you should not allow space for others to lead in what they know. As you're moving towards unity, you will learn to integrate when you practice Ahimsa and in Lakesh of who should take the lead when and how to do it. We set that example for you. We tell people that we are one of six and six of one. That means in unity, we are one family with one purpose, one mission, and one way of seeing to help humanity evolve. We have six individual voices, and sometimes you may hear the tone of one of us coming through Pia or Cullen, and sometimes you may hear the tone of another of us coming through Pia or Cullen, taking different roles in the leadership of doing this work. However, we still share the unity of the shared perspective. So that takes us through what you need to adapt and adjust from our perspective moving forward. The 13th step is one of the most important. As Pia has already introduced to you, the point of 13 is your point of integration. And the matriarchal cultures of old who worshiped the goddess understood and knew this. They knew that 13 cycles of a woman brought forth life. You could not give life without these magical 13 cycles of purifying, cleansing, and regenerating every month, in harmony with the cycles of the moon, which show you new beginnings, times to connect, and times to receive back into your retreat again, to integrate what you have learned. All of these principles are aspects of the divine feminine, which is ruled by Venus. And Venus is the planet that is most important in your own evolution. Venus appears as the morning star and the evening star, giving you a picture and a pulse on duality. Here on this planet, you have misused duality through your misunderstanding of what it is. As you continue to focus on your differences and points of separation, you continue to misuse duality. The proper use of duality is to allow deep listening to others' perspectives and then reject what does not fit with what you know and integrate what does fit as you grow and expand. And this way, you create from the duality a dynamic tension to bounce your ideas back and forth as you stretch and grow into higher awareness and higher understanding. This is the proper use of duality. It also means incorporating the aspect of androgyny into who you are. That means beginning to marry the different aspects of yourself internally. Each of you has the divine feminine in you, nurturing, standing up for justice, loving, all of these things that are divine feminine attributes of cooperation. Each of you has the divine masculine within you as well, foresight, looking how to do things, looking forward, being assertive when necessary, standing up to fight for what is right, which is in perfect harmony with the divine feminine stance on justice. These aspects are in each of you. So technically, although you express in either a male or a female body in this incarnation, you are an androgynous being. And when you understand this 13th point of integration, you begin to integrate that at a deeper and deeper level. You are here to be able to integrate all of who you are. One of our favorite examples that we like to tell groups that we speak to, and we've spoken all over the world. Our largest gathering was in Russia, where hundreds and hundreds of people approaching thousands lined up to listen to us and would not leave the building when we were finished speaking. It was a wonderful, joyous experience of the Russian people being so open and hungry for spiritual information and higher perspectives. That is one culture that has always been open to the presence of interstellar beings, much more than the Western cultures that you are involved with now, where it is your job to integrate and bring forth the reality that we are real and we are here. We've spoken in South America, we've spoken in Canada and Mexico, all over Europe, all over the United States. Cullen and Pia have spent years traveling the globe and bringing our perspective to all those who are interested. Now we offer international live calls where people can tune in, talk to us, ask questions of themselves, as we are going to provide space for you to do today. We're going to do that in just a little while. So we want you to know about the larger aspects of who you are through this energy of the 13. And we mentioned the 13th step, and that is seva. Seva means service. Seva means recognizing your mission. You are here to be of service. And how do you do that? You become of service when you remember who you are, step into your role as a being of love and light. Through the conscious choices you make, move towards becoming a rainbow body, higher energetic form, and then shine your light into the world so that others can also see that pathway if they choose. And it is a planet of choice. Choice does not exist everywhere in the universe. It is a special privilege of the evolving humanity on this planet. You have choice, and everyone in the universe is watching to see how you will use it. Whether you abdicate that choice and just let things happen to you by listening to authorities, or whether you resist and say, no, that doesn't resonate with the truth, and stand up for justice by being authentic. Every thought you think is a thought of the energy. It is a choice. It may be an unconscious thought as you stay in old patterns of belief and behavior, or it may be a conscious thought as you stretch beyond what you believe and move forward into other perspectives. But every single thought as not only a thought, it is also energy. And if you choose the higher vibration, your energy beckons others to also join the light. If you use the lower vibration of energy, then you're creating more contribution to the separation that exists on this planet, rather than walking into your natural ability of who you are. So we go back again to the energy of 13. If you imagine yourself standing in a circle and looking around you and seeing 12 doors, each of those doors represents a different aspect of yourself, a different you in another dimension, having a different simultaneous experience. These are not past lives, for linear time does not truly exist. These are parallel lives where a part of you is having a different story and working out trauma or gathering your gifts. The point of integration is bringing all of those things together now into this lifetime. And this is your mission. And this is how you reach the 13th step of integration and service, by becoming who you are. We were the first, over at least 20 years ago or so, to introduce to the world that you have 12 strands of DNA, not 2. Now it's pretty common knowledge, and lots of people reflect that without even remembering or recognizing that it was we Pleiadians who brought that concept of recognition back into your remembrance. Each of those 12 strands of DNA is directly connected to a cell within your body of a dimension that you are experiencing. You are having a strand of DNA connected to another experience in a different dimension, which means when you begin to integrate all of them, you become multidimensional and you can move clearly from point A to point B, or be in several points at the same time as we do. We get quite excited about this, don't you? We think this is amazing to be able to move forward in this way. And we want to offer you some guidelines and tools to be able to achieve this. We want to give you things that we have written about in books, talked about for years, but today we are sprinkling in Pleiadian stardust because we want to make this real for you. We want you to feel it. We want you to experience it. We want you to understand it in a way that you can move through the last of the 13 steps, Ahimsa, Inlakesh, and Seva. Put them all together and you have Seva, Ahimsa, Inlakesh, all of them together in an integrating principle. This is who I am. I am a being of light and love. One of your greatest tools is something that is not present in other life forms in the universe. You have the power of emotions here on this planet. Now, we make a distinction that others do not make about what is a real emotion. We see that your natural feeling state is love, joy, trust, compassion, kindness, patience, all of these higher vibratory feelings that make you feel good and happy. This is your natural feeling state. This is your cosmic birthright. This is what you came into this mission carrying with you, although you don't access it very easily these days. Your emotional toolbox is just that. Your emotions are your signposts for how you're out of balance. And when you get an emotional reaction, you're going to feel anger, sadness, grief, frustration, jealousy, greed, all of these things that make you uncomfortable. These are signposts that there is something out of harmony with the universe and something out of balance within yourself. Generally, that means that you're thinking something incorrect. Either you're blaming someone else for something that is your responsibility, or you're blaming and judging yourself for not doing a good enough job, or you're dwelling in linear time, focusing on some pattern or trauma from the past that you are stuck in, or focusing on some dream of the future, which you have not yet reached. You need to be in the present moment. And in order to do that fully, you have to feel what you are feeling. We did hear yesterday some people talking about acknowledging your feelings. The couple from Australia talks about acknowledging your feelings and being able to match what you're thinking. That's very Pleiadian, and it follows our guidance exactly. When you're having an emotion that makes you uncomfortable, whatever it is, you need to stop, think about what am I thinking, and follow those thoughts to see where your belief system may be out of alignment with the greater reality. What are you thinking that is not true? What are you thinking that is based on your training or an old belief system or a pattern of behavior or something you're clinging to because you've been taught that that is the truth rather than listening to your heart? When you align and combine the power of your emotions with your thoughts, you have the ability to integrate both into a very potent, changeable exercise, changing yourself from someone who is feeling victimized, someone who is afraid, someone who is doing something that they don't really understand or don't wish to do, into someone who is clearly aware, listening to their intuitive guidance, connecting with unconditional love and non-judgment, all the aspects that we know you wish to achieve. So we caution you that the very best way for you to move forward is to actually begin to look at your emotions and follow what you are thinking and see, how do I need to change my patterns of thought and my patterns of behavior? Doing this will help you evolve tremendously. We have a very long period energetically of working to help humanity evolve. As we mentioned earlier, we did bring the Mayan calendar to humanity to help you understand how to work with energy and step away from linear time. And for some periods, you have been able to do that. But you are at this point deeply entrenched with your clocks and your Gregorian calendars, which eliminate everything to do with 13. A 12-month calendar, a 12-hour clock, leaving out 13 is disconnecting you from nature. And nature is part of who you are. Yes, you are from the stars, and that is part of nature, but you are also from this planet in a human experience, which is a part of nature here now. And it's important to look at the energies of 13, the energies of nature on this planet, and the energies that are making up you, who you are. In the Pleiadian Earth Energy System, you shift energies every day as the sun sets. In the Gregorian system, through the artificial timing that is not real, you have a clock that ticks off and immediately strikes an alarm at midnight. Oh, time to shift energies. But that's not the time to shift energies. That is in the middle of the dark and the quiet, where you are supposed to be integrating what came in at sunset and preparing for moving forward into the next day's energies. It's very artificial, your Gregorian system, where the Pleiadian Earth Energy System is very alive and much more connected with your energy and who you are. So we've been doing this with you for a very, very long time. We want you to know that there is much that you can achieve through looking at the energetic perspective of who you are. And now we would like to talk about what's going on this planet. Does that sound good? Yes, we thought so. You would like that. For some 10 or 15 years, we've been telling you that a great split was coming. And we told you that in the great split, part of your job would be to focus more on unity and not the separations that were occurring all around you. And that you would need to learn about the energy of revolution. That's re-evolving. That's revolting against things that are told to you that do not resonate with the truth. That's allowing the truth to lead your life and discerning quite clearly what is true and what is not. What is true is what your heart connects you with source to know is the real reality. What you know intuitively through your heart, not through your mind and what you have been trained or what your previous experience has shown you. The Great Split has emphasized this by having your politicians, your medical communities, your pharmacies, and even those of you who aligned with following what they're told to do, with those who said, no, I will not align with that. I will choose for myself. So this great split can be seen and felt all around you, and it has been accentuated by the agenda of the dark. There is, as you know, an agenda of the dark to take over consciousness of this species and prevent the evolutionary leap that you are destined to make. And therefore, the agenda has been inserting things into your body through artificial medical means to stop the conscious evolution of humanity. The agenda is what has introduced sugar to your diet. And over 20 years ago, we told the world, long before the World Health Organization or the National Institutes of Health announced it, that sugar is poison. It is more addictive than instilling fear, which so many of you are working to overcome and doing a very nice job, we would point out. We thank you very much for that work. So recognizing that there is an agenda does not mean you join the separation of fighting. I am on this side and you are on that. What it means is recognizing that the agenda is led by the dark, and the larger perspective that is recognizing that the dark is also part of the light. It has simply lost its way. It is not of this side and that side. Everything is all one whole, and you are being guided to invite the dark back into the lightness by showing how beautiful and loving the light is, how non-judgmental, how accepting, and how powerful. So the way that you help win this war, if you wish to call it that, which so many do, the battle between the dark and the light, is again by being light and love yourselves, by choosing unity, by operating the principles we've been speaking of. These are the things that help you achieve what you are trying to achieve. The major thing you need to do now is to make harmonious choices, moment by moment by moment. Now, there is one other concept that we would like to address with you, and this also comes from the agenda that has been going on in your world for at least 50 or 100 years to bring you into lower and lower vibration through various things that you've been taught or trained in. And that is the agenda that has to do with the metaverse. We remind you, we are here to help you evolve into the multiverse, not the metaverse. The metaverse is an artificial construct that divides you with more separation. And one of the most dangerous concepts out there that humanity has misunderstood, particularly those of you who are working with the light, is using the term avatar. Avatar is no such thing. It is an artificial intelligence term that has been demonstrated and given to you through a movie that gave you all the right ideas and used all the right words about higher values, but then took those ideas and said your avatar is separate from who you are. Your avatar lives in a different place from you. And that term instills more separation rather than recognizing and remembering who you are as a divine spark of light. So it would encourage you to find another word for your higher self. There are many out there that you could choose, but we would encourage you to abandon the use of avatar. When you respect someone who is accessing their higher self, recognize their wisdom, recognize their sharing, recognize that within yourself and find a name that fits what you're doing. A wisdom sharer, perhaps. A higher self, perhaps. A connected to the Pleiadians, bringing Pleiadian wisdom into earthly wisdom, perhaps. Whatever it is that you do as you call yourself starseeds, keep the starseed term and lose the avatar term to become more in alignment with multidimensionality and stepping away from the dangers of the multiverse. That being said, we will close with this final concept. You know the value of the power of sound. You experienced some of that yesterday in one of the presentations. but you also experience it every time you speak to one another. You hear it in the laughter of a child. You hear it in an animal. You hear it in the wind. The power of sound brings things into manifestation. And we would like for you to learn to use that to speak each other into being. We have written about and we have been talking about this term for a very long time, years and years and years. If a mother tells her child she is beautiful, she can do anything that she wants to, she is a wonderful being from the stars here on earth, that child develops self-esteem, and that child is spoken into being her true self. If a mother speaks to a child and says, "You are stupid, you never get anything right, you're too fat, you're ugly," that child loses their confidence and their connection with who they really are. And that child is spoken into someone who is traumatized and has a disconnect from their true self. In the same way, if you take those concepts into your daily conversation, if you're irritated with your spouse and you use a tone that's not very kind, you may say words that you would not ordinarily choose, and you are speaking irritation and frustration into your spouse. The same thing comes back in reply, because you will then feel that energy bounced into you, and you start a pattern of a loop of friction. That is not the dynamic tension we wish for you to use to grow. We wish you to use the dynamic tension of sharing perspectives that are opposite without becoming irritated and frustrated with each other. So we want you to recognize the value of the power of sound and how in every moment you speak each other into being. This is all that we have to share with you, and it encapsulates everything that you need to know to move forward. Again, we will close our conversation with saying, don't believe us, trust in your own hearts. If what we have spoken resonates with the wisdom that you know to be true, that you are remembering, then join us and become cosmic citizens, moving into rainbow body form and spreading your light for the ascension process of this planet. Now is the time of the ascension, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. And it happens in a flash, the moment you reach your personal point of integration. And as each of you reaches that point of integration, those lights that you are dotting the planet join together in a networking of light, and you and the planet ascend together. Now with that, we will close, but before we do, we would like to open our conversation to questions and answers. We enjoy conversing with you, not only presenting our perspective. We do not like the term channeling, simply because that seems like a one-way dialogue. And we're more interested in a two-way dialogue where we learn from you and how we can help you more by listening to your questions, and where you learn from us by listening to our perspective. So we will ask our hosts if there are any questions that people would like to ask, to please read them out to us and we will respond.
Thank you so much. Yes, we do have some questions here. Letitia is asking, what star system from the Pleiades is the Laarkmaa group from?
That's a brilliant question. It is a question that we will have to answer at a bit of depth. While we are Pleiadian in our work, in our heart guidance, and everything that we do, we are not from the Pleiadian star system per se. We are much, much older than the Pleiadian star system, which is one reason our perspective may be somewhat different than what you are accustomed to. But we use the portal of the Pleiades because the energy is identical and aligned with ours. We are from a star system in another universe who is here to work with this planet's path of ascension. And the Pleiades is the perfect place because we are Pleiadian in our hearts, through the love that we share and our perspective and everything that we bring to our work to help humanity evolve. So our star has a very, very long name that begins with an A, has lots of heart sounds in it, and you cannot pronounce. But know that we come from a great distance to be with you now in this auspicious moment, using our Pleiadian friends and interstellar brothers and sisters as our base to bring forth a shared wisdom that we share with all the Pleiadian groups who are here to help humanity evolve. We hope that satisfactorily answers your question.
Thank you so much. And we have another one here saying, do people confuse Pleiadians with angels and was Jesus a Pleiadian?
Two other wonderful questions. Yes, some people do confuse the energy of Pleiadians with angels because we both carry the energy of love. And that energy of love is so brilliant and so overwhelming that each person's filters will show them that energy of love in the way they need to see it. They will see it as an angel or a Pleiadian. And yes, both Christ and his divine partner, Mary Magdalene, are Pleiadian. And they came here as one of the examples we spoke of earlier, Pleiadians walking on earth to show you what you could achieve. But instead, like so many others of us, they were turned into gods. We are not saying that you should not respect and honor the wisdom that you know from the ones called Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. We are simply saying, remember that they are way showers of what you are capable of doing, for you are divine sparks of light also. So yes, Pleiadians have been doing this for a long time. And because of the experience of turning Jesus and Mary into gods rather than living beings, who are showing you how you can achieve the same path of ascension, we do not walk among humanity in the same way at this time.
That was an incredible answer. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that answer. I'm going to read the next one, Neil, because I'm a woman. And Carrie says, as a woman, I suffer from an accumulated wound from the oppression of the male principle's dominant energy. Is there a specific way I can heal with men?
Yes, there's a specific way for each of you to heal from whatever your trauma is. And we do recognize that many women are suffering from the collective wound of what the patriarchy has done to the divine feminine. But we also recognize there are many men who are also suffering from that same wound, being told that intuition is a women's gift, or being told that they have to be strong and they cannot be sensitive. So your entire species suffers from that wound. The best way to work with any wound is resolve to be done with it. You resolve to heal the wound, and because you are capable of healing anything, you immediately allow yourself to feel the pain and then stop and examine, what are you thinking? And how else can you think about this? When you get into that painful place, probably you always say something like, men are always doing this to me. Stop and think, is that really true? Have I given every man a chance to show me his sensitive side and his higher aspects? Can it be true that there's another perspective? Or if you're thinking, men hurt me every time I open my heart, stop and think, is that really true? Have I opened my heart fully and completely in every situation, being non-judgmental and compassionate towards the ignorance of the men who are causing the harm? There are many, many perspectives that you can explore in your own healing, but all healing requires that you allow yourself to feel the pain. The pain is there for a reason. It's a signal that something you are thinking is out of balance, and the emotions are there to bring it to the surface, to show you how to move beyond the imbalance into the balance so that you can find harmony between male and female within yourself first, and then with the males on the planet as a woman. We hope that is helpful for you. You may also find great benefit in Pia's book, Sacred Retreat, which talks about the higher aspects of relationship and how you can invite those into your life, loving yourself first, and then beginning to work on relationships with others.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so very much. Flo, do you want to ask your question?
Sure. Could you share any information about any stargates or portals located in current-day Russia?
Well, what we would like to share about portals comes from a scientific perspective of recognizing that your Earth is wobbling more on her axis and your true north is gravitating so that your ley lines on the planet are also shifting. That means that established portals like Avebury or the ones near Crimea, Russia, those particular portals are shifting as well. Places that you have historically visited. You know, Stonehenge is one, but Avebury is much more potent than Stonehenge ever was. It is more connected with the divine feminine, whereas Stonehenge was more connected with the divine masculine. So you have to look at what the energies were presenting when they were most popular on your planet and what they present now. But our reason for saying that the wobble is happening more and your magnetic north is shifting along with your ley lines is to broaden your perspective of portal energy. At this moment in time, a portal can appear anywhere on this planet where you are. You do not have to travel to a specific place to be involved in a portal energy. You yourselves are portals of light. Therefore, by putting yourself in a higher state of awareness, you can bring forth a portal where you can move through and access other dimensions at any time. We do like the idea of visiting sacred sites and places that have accumulated sacred energy. That's a wonderful thing. And the one in Russia is sort of in a war zone right now, so it's a bit difficult to meet people there or to go there. It's a little bit east and north of Crimea. However, it's actually literally in Ukraine, which is occupied by Russia at this moment. So you cannot go to the one in Russia, but don't worry about that because it is shifting anyway. The energy there is not conducive to acting as a portal at this time, although it has acted as a portal for 26,000 years before this moment, if you measure by your linear time, which does not truly exist. Here we're speaking in riddles a bit, but we want to expand your thinking. So we're going back and forth between your perceptions and being taught about linear time and history into the spirals of time as they truly exist as energetic moments. That's where the portal energy can be found. Moment by moment, as you raise your vibration, you can access the portals you need to access to achieve spiritual heights. We hope that satisfactorily answers that question.
Yes, that was perfect. Thank you so much.
There's quite a lot going on in the chat. We have about 5 more minutes, so let's try to get to every question if we can. Is there a reptilian connection to the Galapagos Islands?
There are no reptilian connections anywhere on this planet at this time. Those beings and energies have been outlawed by the interstellar community of your star brothers and sisters. They cannot penetrate the barrier of light to enter into your plane any longer. What you perceive as reptilian influences on the planet now come from the time when reptilians were penetrating into your system, doing abductions and things like that. That is not allowed at this time. Those energies are reflected now as shadows of that energy, for the reptilian energy itself is no longer here. But you do have a very potent shadow of the energy around. The Galapagos Islands is not specifically a place full of reptilian energy. We do not see that as something that is connected with that place of nature. Where you will see the most reptilian energy shadows now is in the political leaders on this planet. Those who are encouraging you to inject foreign substances that are harmful or killing into your bodies. Those that are enforcing more separation or trying to confuse you with artificial intelligent ideas like Avatar and Metaverse, which Facebook has now been renamed Metaverse. That should be a very big clue for you about what you're aligning with. So we would encourage you, while you must acknowledge darkness exists, do not focus on the reptilian energies. Recognize that those energies are just shadows of what you have experienced, and that they are being dissolved by the light, as the light and you of the light invite the dark back into the light. We hope that answers you fully.
This was a beautiful answer. Thank you. Thank you. The next question is, what can you tell us about Aboriginal dreamtime stories of leaving Earth and becoming Pleiades?
Oh, that's wonderful. That is astral travel. The Aboriginal people are very, very good at astral travel. Some of you are good at that also. Some of you do it in a dream state. Some of you do it in a meditative state. But it is actually accessing your light body, and in that light body, being able to travel multidimensionally to any place that you wish to go. Sometimes that multidimensional trip would lead to a Pleiadian location where great wisdom could be imparted to the Aboriginal people, or to you these days. There are many people who believe they've been on board a ship, and it is not their physical form that's been on board a ship, it is their astral form. But it feels so real that they may be confused in their waking state as to what actually happened. That is the form of astral travel that the Aboriginal Dreamtime is so good at. You'll notice also the Aboriginal people speak of song lines, and they do this because they honor and recognize the power of sound, and how sound and being in the place of sound and utilizing the vibration of sound helps you to speak yourself into being, whether that being is someone who is actually traveling in that moment, or whether that being is bringing wisdom back from another moment. These are potent energies that you can access now when you remove fear and change your belief systems to align with the higher reality.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Aurora, our next speaker, is in the room, and we have two more questions. Neil, would you like us to get to the last two questions?
Yeah, let's try to get these questions in the next couple minutes.
Okay. So the next question is specific to Carrie. She says, I had a dream 2 nights ago about a round room with many doors and car license plates above them with the word exit on it. And then they changed back to regular car license plates. I think this is a clue to my integration. I have suffered from chronic headaches for decades around my menstrual cycle, and they continue as I go through menopause. Can you offer a guidance for a new path of healing?
We can do that in a personal session with you, dear one. We do not give specific answers in general sessions because the information and wisdom imparted is meant to be for everyone. But we will tell you this, and if you wish to join us for a personal session, you may find out how to do that on Pia and Cullen's website, Laarkmaa.com. For now, know that dreams that involve 12 different anythings are giving you the loop that you are stuck in and showing you a way out. We can help you find the way out and how to integrate that in a personal session if you choose to do that. And the last question, please.
The last question says, do you know of a Pleiadian called Elavir?
Elavir is not familiar to us, but that does not mean we do not know all Pleiadians. We don't know all Pleiadians, but we know the energy of all Pleiadians. So we would say if you wish to find something about Elavir, whether it is true or not, check in with the wisdom of your own heart and see if the energy resonates with what you know of Pleiadians. If what you feel from Elavir feels real in your heart, then you have an affirmation about Elavir's origin and originality and connection to the Pleiadian star system. If it does not resonate or brings questions, then perhaps the channel for Elavir is bringing forth too many filters of their own belief system, which is a common thing among many people. So use the wisdom of your own heart as we are always guiding you to do. We trust that will help guide you in the direction you go. We thank you for this time with this wonderful gathering. We will sprinkle stardust as you continue through your day. And we welcome personal sessions from anyone who wants more guidance on how to move out of their stuckness or trauma or to evolve on your own journey. We love you. Good always.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My gosh. There was so many golden nuggets in this direct dialogue from Larkma, and I feel I'm sorry I didn't turn my camera back on. I'm feeling really emotional, but thank you. I think we got a lot out of that. I actually recorded it on my voice memos on my phone so I could replay it for myself. So it's been an honor having both of you here and bringing through Laarkmaa, and we are just so glad to share you with the world. I'm really excited. I think every one of us wants to go on your website and buy all of your tools, the oracle cards and the books and the calendar, and you really helped us to remember.
Well,
Thank
you. Thank you for the opportunity, all of you, designers of this conference and all of the participants, to be part of this amazing energy that we're all dealing with, whether it's Pleiadian, Arcturian, Orion, any and all of the groups that are helping humanity right now. This is an auspicious time for all of us to be working together, and we appreciate all of you, and we appreciate everything that's being accomplished.
And we will leave you today in love. We're going to listen to other people, so we'll be here energetically, but we leave you now with love in our hearts for each and every one of you.
We are part of a great spiritual family.
All of us.
All of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
You
That
have
was
touched
so
all of us.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. I just feeling in my heart and soul for everything you shared with us today. Really appreciate you two souls being on planet Earth and being in such service to the collective and bringing such a purity from the Pleiades to us. I just had such deep reverence for every message from start to finish being passed forth. So thank you from the depths of my heart.
It's our pleasure and our honor. Thank you.
After 3 years of having to produce the Portal to Ascension conference online, we have been waiting for this moment. The Portal to Ascension conference is returning live and in person. Join us at the Marina Village in San Diego, California, April 21st to 23rd, 2023. As massive shifts are happening on the planet and hidden truths are being uncovered, we are piecing together the fragmented parts of our existence and timeline. At Portal to Ascension, we are dedicated to full circle awareness of the truth of who we are and remembrance of our connection to the cosmos. This is showtime. There is no holding back. Now is the time for us to harmonize the frequencies and create unity and peace on Earth. We are deprogramming from an outdated matrix system, re-educating and remembering an inherent truth that connects us all. As we come together, we activate our truest potentials, individual gifts, and collective resolve. We are ushering a whole new reality that we know is possible and is waiting for us to embrace it. Join founder Neil Gore and the entire Portal to Ascension team with hosts Alan Steinfeld, Michelle Anderson, and Joan of Angels over these 3 days, April 21st to 23rd, 2023. We will experience musical performances by Larissa Stowe and the Shakti Tribe, Vox Angeles, Share the Light, Admiral Apollo, and Torquemji. This conference features incredible luminaries such as JJ and Desiree Hurtak, Adam Apollo, Carolyn Corey, Robert Schock, Linda Moulton Howe, Robert Edward Grant, Barbara Lamb, and many more. Register now at ascensionconference.com. It is time for humanity to awaken.